welcome back to It's Your Move, where we talk about all things real estate, including where I work and live in Galveston, Texas. So today I'd like to talk to you about pretty much the top 10 things that I think you should know before buying a home. There's a lot of things to consider and a lot of things to know, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. So there are some crucial aspects to keep in mind to ensure a smooth and successful transaction, and here are probably like the top 10 things you should know. First of all, establish a realistic budget, and this is true of any big ticket item. Before you start house hunting, have a clear understanding of your budget. Consider your income, your savings, your existing debts. Now, having a sufficient and steady income is probably more important than just your savings. You might have $200,000 in the bank, but your savings, although it could be a good source for a down payment, it may be spent tomorrow. You might go out and buy some expensive car or whatever, and now how are you going to pay your monthly mortgage note? Or at least that's how your lender sees it. So these things all will help determine the price range of a home that you can afford, and it'll avoid you wasting time on properties that are beyond your means. The next thing you want to talk about or look at is getting pre-approved for a mortgage. So go talk to a lender about getting pre-approved. There's also this thing called pre-qualification, but getting pre-approved for a mortgage loan is a critical step in the home buying process. It provides you with a clear picture of how much the lender is willing to loan you and allows you to narrow down your search for a home. Pre-approval is often required by the real estate agents and home sellers as a prerequisite for touring homes. So if you want to go and look at a home, they're going to want to know, do you have the means to actually, not only are you a serious buyer for this home, but do you have the means to purchase this home? Prove it. Did you get pre-approved from a lender, or do you have proof of funds if you're going to pay cash? So getting pre-approved is a very important process. So the next thing you want to consider is location and amenities. The location of your new home is just as important as the property itself. Consider factors like proximity to work, schools, public transportation, and amenities such as parks, shopping centers, and hospitals. Think about what matters most to you and your families, or just your lifestyle. Consider how long your commute may be to work and whether or not you want to use public transportation. Consider other attractions as well, such as a nearby beach or lake or a resort or amusement park. And remember that all of these major things that may attract you to that area will likely attract many other people. Will those attractions bring too many tourists or too much traffic to the area? Will that affect your decision at all? So the next thing you can talk about or look at is working with a knowledgeable realtor. A skilled real estate agent can be your best ally in a home buying process. We have a deep understanding of the local market. We can negotiate on your behalf. Negotiations is not always about the money. There are many other factors to consider when negotiating, such as time, furnishings, or appliances. Agents also guide you through the complexities of paperwork and contracts. Realtors know a lot about the documents and the deadlines, and not to mention the periodic legal updates. I mean, keeping up with that is a chore all on its own. So let your realtor handle all of the details that are involved in the real estate transaction so that you can focus on choosing the home that you love. The next thing to consider is inspecting the property thoroughly. Never underestimate the importance of a professional home inspection. It can uncover potential issues that may not be immediately visible, potentially saving you thousands of dollars in future repairs. Don't hesitate to ask also in negotiations. Don't hesitate to ask for repairs or concessions based on that inspection report. But the other part to consider is your own inspection. When you're touring a home, don't forget to do your own inspection. You should be looking closely at the foundation for cracks. Look at the ceiling for cracks. Is there evidence of water damage or other things that are in need of repair or replacement? You may not decide to make an offer at all on this home if you see too many repairs. If there's too many problems, that you don't want to deal with, or that you're afraid might be worse when you start opening up doors and walls and things, save that professional inspection money for another house that you're going to buy. If you see too many problems on the surface, you might not decide to put an offer on the house at all. So keep those, not only professional inspection, but your own inspection. Keep that on the front of your mind there when you're looking at homes. Understand the total cost of ownership. This is a big one because we just get so blinded by, oh, this is the perfect house, and you forget that there's costs associated with it. So beyond the sales price, consider additional costs such as property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and utilities. Understanding the full scope of expenses will give you a clear picture of what to expect in the long run. Once the excitement of the new home and the moving and all that has worn off, you got to look at the long run, because everything will start to fall into place. And when you look a little bit closer, you may be required to purchase homeowners insurance, flood insurance, windstorm and hail insurance. Those all add up. Those are all different policies. And don't forget about the homeowners association dues, the municipal utility district fees, the public improvement district fees. Those are the HOA, MUD, and PID fees. Make sure that you research all potential expenses associated with particular homes or property, because not all of them have a MUD or a PID or HOA. But what if they do? What if you have all three? That's a significant difference in fees that you're going to be paying annually. So check those out. Then you want to also consider the resale value and future growth potential. Even if you're planning to stay for a while, eventually, look at the long haul. You may end up downsizing or upgrading later on. And when you do, it's wise to consider now what the resale value may look like later on. Look for the neighborhood with a history of appreciation and potential for future growth. This way you're making an investment that can only benefit you down the line. Consider the potential for growth as well, as you can also look at the development plans on city and county websites. The development plans will give you insight on the extent of any development and maybe the targeted timeline for that development. And by having that information, you can make a much better decision. Maybe there's planning on development that you don't want to be involved in or live around. So look into that, do a little research for planned growth and potential resale value. The next thing you want to look at is reviewing the HOA rules and fees. We already talked about the fees a little bit, but the rules. If a property is part of a homeowners association, HOA, carefully review the rules and fees. Some have restrictions on things like exterior paint color or landscaping, or whatever it is that may have impacts on what plans you have for your property. Now, you may not like the idea of having an HOA tell you what you can and cannot do with your property, and it's your own property. Why can't you do what you want? But the goal with the HOA is to regulate everything in an effort to keep the community properties in good repair and in generally acceptable appearance. So even though sometimes we don't like our HOAs or what they do, they do have a purpose. So let's also plan for closing costs. Closing costs can add up and catch you off guard. Now, these kind of fees may include fees for an appraisal, insurance, attorney's fees, and more. So make sure you budget for these expenses in addition to your down payment. Now, title insurance, for example, is a standard fee based on the sales price of the home, and it can be one of the biggest expenses at closing, but they are standard. So these are fees you'll know ahead of time. You can ask the title company what it is. Knowing the general closing cost up front will help you understand what to expect when you go to closing, so it won't catch you off guard. And finally, and probably just as important as anything else, is trust your instincts. While it is crucial to approach home buying with a logical mindset, don't ignore your instincts. If something feels off about a property or a deal, take the time to investigate it further or seek professional advice. If you have a bad feeling, then there's often a reason for it, so don't be afraid to figure out what that reason might be. So remember, buying a home is a significant decision, and it's perfectly normal to have questions or concerns, but surround yourself with a team of experts or even friends and family to help you go through the process, and take the time to thoroughly research and consider each step. That's all I got for this week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful. Remember, it's your move.